Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Let's discuss our Sarasvati Vidya, an enlightening education, the 10 stages of divine wisdom. I believe the person who reached the ultimate level of human consciousness would have gone through many births before. So, reincarnation is the fundamental objective of a person who is going to be perfect in every way. Second thing which comes to very important, you have to be a karma yogi, doing action perfectly with the intention of being perfect, perfect and perfect alone. Follow dharma, follow truth, do actions according to dharma, and then live life according to dharma, and you are going to be free from all the constraints of life. That is Karma Yoga. The strength of the mind and action is going to take you to the next stage. Without Karma Yoga, you cannot achieve anything in life. Whatever your destiny is, you got to manifest through action only. Third thing which comes to my mind is Bhakti Yoga. Unless until you believe that you have been created the best creation in the universe, and there is a divine force which is responsible, there is a divine mathematics, and that concentration, contemplation of the universal consciousness is absolutely essential to move on. Without the faith on the Creator who has created all of us so perfectly, we cannot move on Karma Yoga, Bhakti, Gyan, Vigyan, Pragyan, Akhandata at all. Then come to the question of Tantra Vidya, which I do believe is absolutely essential for understanding the inner consciousness completely. There are 10 chakras, not 7 chakras. There are 108 minor chakras, and this is the center of human anatomy, physiology, biochemistry and psychology. Unless until you understand Tantra, you cannot understand the universe at all. You have to experience the universe within your human body, because exactly the reflection of the universal consciousness. Pedant and Brahman Ekam, they are only one. We are microcosmic representation of the macrocosmic universe. Then there comes the question of Kundalini is the inner human soul within the human body, which has come from the sun, and it is Aditi, and this is one which leads you to experience unity within. The person who is faithful to Aditi, inner consciousness, is going to be godly. Who does not follow Aditi is going to be demonic in every way, imperfect to the core. Then come to the chakras or the worlds within body. There are 108 and there are 72,000 chakras in different parts of the body. They go clockwise and anti-clockwise all the time for energizing and reducing energy, for evolution and involution simultaneously. That's it. Then come to the question, there are 6 according to the book of Sat Chakra Nirupana, which is fantastic ancient Indian Sanskrit book. Talks of only 6 chakras, does not talk of 7 chakras, does not talk of 10 chakras, and it talks of the 6 goddesses of Tantra Vidya, which is a phenomenal description of perfect anatomy, physiology, biochemistry and psychology in a Sanskrit language amazing to the core. Now come to the question of first chakra, which is absolutely essential, is Muladhara, where sympathetic chain left and right meet at the bottom, and there is equanimity of sympathetic movement, parasympathetic equilibrium, and that is what makes the human being sleep comfortably. And Kundalini goes and sleeps in Muladhara only, and there is no action, but meantime all the work it can do very well, keep you well aware of. Person who is perfectly vegetarian, no smoking, no drinking, no alcohol, no drugs, who allows his sympathetic, parasympathetic, sensory, motor, involuntary, everything perfect without any interference at all, the one who can be a perfect being. And this I'm talking from my experience. This is where Muladhara comes to very important role to make you very healthy, wealthy, wise and happy, provided you are a perfect human being. Then come to the question of Kundalini can move from Muladhara to Sahasrara Chakra through the external route with the help of pranayam itself. Annamay is the physical body, Pranamay is the second body which is outside, it can go out, and this is where oxygen, ferrous, RBC, hemoglobin, they with the help of pranayam do wonderfully very well, and that's it. Then come to the brahmachar, every person who is perfectly characterful. You lose money, you lose nothing. You lose health, you lose something. But if you lose character, you lose everything. And brahmacharya, I mean a divine nature of the person. You got to be a perfect human being, doing everything perfectly for the benefit of the self and the world as such. And I think that is most important part to make you very intelligent, intuitive to the universe. Without a brahmacharya, great character, you cannot move on. Then come to the Brahma Granthi is a block between Muladhara Chakra and Brahma Nadi, and this is the structure of Carda Equina, and unless the Kundalini moves from Muladhara Chakra, gets through the block into the ventricles, into the brain, Vaikuntha, only then concentration of inner consciousness comes, and then you become perfectly fine. And this is the Brahma Granthi, the first knot. Then when it goes inside, you can have the Kundalini moving into internal root, into the Brahma Nadi itself. This is something which I experienced in 1993. Now comes the question, Swadhisthana is the second chakra. When Kundalini moves, when it wakes up, goes to Swadhi chakra automatically. That's the center which produces testosterone, estrogen, and that is absolutely essential for muscular power, RBC, hemoglobin, intelligence, and otherwise. Only when testosterone is converted through amortization to steroid to estrogen to estradiol, that ojas which is good for health becomes intelligence as such. That is with Swadhisthana. How important is that particular chakra, which is the first chakra when we wake up from sleep. Then the person when goes to Vani Nadi, with Satchakra Tarpana talks about within Sushmana Nadi, you have Vani Nadi, the space around the spinal cord and the brain. When it goes into that, you get an intelligence inside itself. And this is not something which I am talking about Brahma Nadi. This is Vani Nadi. Then comes to the Nabhi Chakra, by and large the third endocrine gland, which is absolutely essential to give you immunity. Once this is done, any accident otherwise, bleeding of 1 liter from 5 liters to 4 liters, this will take care of automatically. But more than that, you have to be worried about. Then concentration moves on to the heart level. Then comes to the Manipura Chakra, the fourth chakra below the diaphragm into the abdomen, is for digestion of water, electrolytes, nutrition, and otherwise, which are absolutely essential for homeostasis and perfect health. This has to be perfect, and balance of autonomic system, that means sympathetic and parasympathetic, should be very good. The lower one is a sacral parasympathetic. Here you have a cranial parasympathetic vagus, which comes to very big role in digestion one by one. Then there is a Vishnu Garanthi from Manipura chakra to higher chakras, let's say to Ajna chakra. It can move up through the left vagus or the right vagus as such. Once this is crossed, then you go to the higher levels of consciousness. Kundalini moves from Muladhara to Swadhisthana to Nabhi and Manipura automatically all the time with everybody without any spiritual science work at all. But to go beyond that, you got to go to much higher level of universal consciousness. You cannot be a selfish. You got to become beyond the reptilian brain. Now come to the Anahata chakra. Is the fifth chakra in the heart, which is particularly close to lungs and heart by and large in the chest. But Anahata chakra's first thing as endocrine gland is the thymus, which is absolutely essential for cell-mediated immunity. Once this is done, only then you will survive come what may. So Anahata chakra reaching is very important for anyone to move on to be a perfect human being. So this is in the order which going up. Now come to the question of prana. Prana is the one where lungs come to play a role. It absorbs oxygen from atmosphere and utilizes for all the cells, and all the carbon dioxide which is produced in the cell is expelled out. And that expulsion is only a 61.803% of the carbon dioxide expelled. Remaining is maintained for different functions of the body, primarily producing hydrochloric acid in the stomach, kidneys as such. So that is something which prana teaches you how exactly the breathing has to begin, how pranayam can help you by and large. And then soul anahata chakra is oxygen, oxygen and oxygen, and that is the divine breathing, and that is where I said Vastrika can help you to be a perfect human being. Now come to the Vidya Dhanvir, and I do know once you have crossed the abdomen, cross the diaphragm, come to the chest level, only then energy moves up from sacral parasympathetic, sympathetic to the cranial parasympathetic. Once cranial parasympathetic takes over, that is where intelligence comes, that is where everything comes, and more you share the knowledge with others just for the love of it, without asking for money, name, fame at all. You rise because more you share, more you go higher and higher and higher. So way to the higher end consciousness from thereafter is only learn, master and share impeccable wisdom with everybody for love of it. Do not make it a constraint that it has to be sold or otherwise. Give, give and give. Share, share, share. सरस्वती के भंडार में बड़ी अपूर्व जूं जूं खर्चे त्यों त्यों बढ़े बिन खर्चे कर. That is only way we can go up. Are the fundamental vidya dadati vinyam vinyat yati patratam ch dhanam dharam sukham. The peace in the world can be only with impeccable wisdom and vidya only, which give you humility. You create a uniform society of everybody working together. They are the only people who can be rich, other thing. So being all as one, not different stages required. Every human being is capable, provided we treat them, trust them and do on. And person who's with this can learn all the 64 arts and sciences step by step by and large. Now there comes question of mantra vidya. Once you in the heart only, you become in tune with the universal consciousness. You see the picture right on top is the Om which I had made in 1974 before I was initiated into chakras, nadis and kundalini at all. And this is a perfect of what Mandukya Upanishad talks about it in 12 shlokas. And that is the beauty of mantra. That's why Maha Mantra and also Pranava. That is breath itself is Prana Vayu mantra is Om only. Once you experience that within the body, you are in tune with universal consciousness. Greatest mantra is Om only. And center thing is mantra vidya, as and such I learnt only from heart, unstrung sound. And that gave me the knowledge of higher and higher consciousness. Then you become in tune with universal consciousness, which speaks only in a musical language. Now there comes a question, divine, I've shown this is a particular picture, very good. Now come to the question of the subject for the day is Goddess Saraswati. Goddess Saraswati is first idol of Mata Vaishno Devi in Katra or Trikuta mountain, her. Saraswati, Mahalakshmi and Mahakali are three forms. The first I am taking is Saraswati, which is the left and the right side, which is the goddess of knowledge. Only she can give you the knowledge of every subject and all the 64 subjects. Unless until you have a data, information, knowledge and wisdom of all the 64 arts and sciences, you cannot be a perfect Lokpalan at all. Being expert in one subject can give you a privilege to score over in money, name, fame. But if you want the world and universe to stand by you, you got to know all the 64 arts, and that goddess Saraswati can give it to you. In this particular picture, you can see Hans and dog, swan. Swan has the capacity to take all the ingredients from milk and leave behind water. That discrimination is beautiful. There is a vivek, there is a concept. And this also peacock shows how beautiful that whole structure is. and how it has always fascinated me for its beauty. Dancing, other thing is brilliant. And Veena, it means music. If you got in music, only then you can understand divine music completely. Om and other things, including Gayatri Mantra, becomes very clear. And then this takes you to her. In one hand, you can find 4 Vedas in her hand. That means all the knowledge of the universe is in Vedas, and that is there, and also in Upanishads. And Upanishads are nothing but description of Ved alone. And you have the music, you have the discretion, you have the vivek, you have all the quality, and you have the positive whiteness in that. And I think that is what it. And you can also see the lotus flower, which stands for the purity. Nothing dirt can touch a lotus flower, and that's beauty. And then she sits only on that. I think that is a goddess. That is the knowledge of 64 arts and other things, which this symbolic representation is giving. And how I have understood the symbolic mathematics, which gives you, I think this picture could be one of them. As I explained to you, this is the beauty which you have to understand. Now come to the question of Mata Vaishno Devi. As I told you, the Bhakti Yoga I am showing again. There are 3 pindis. The left is Goddess Sarasvati only, Mata Saraswati, pure white slow, and I've seen that with my eyes. I've also seen the whole statue underneath, which is 5.5 feet. I'm privileged to have done that. Now I have only go to her because she is the one who is a living consciousness in human form, and I'm trying to become like her and treat her as my guru, my guide, my shield, protect, and she gives me all the answers ever since my childhood. No wonder I've taken birth over there, and I continue to be with her, and she continues to lead me step by step, because she is only divine in the human form, which is meditating, and she is still giving the world the wisdom. And maybe I am one of the process through her process. Now come to the Saraswati Vidya. Now I am going to talk about it. What kind of knowledge is essential for to become perfect? Goddess Saraswati gives you the knowledge, the Vidya, and it is Saraswati Vidya which is important. And there are 10 stages, impeccable wisdom in Saraswati Vidya itself, as I've understood from Mata Vaishno Devi, Goddess Saraswati. No wonder in all the prayers we do, Saraswati, Mahalakshmi and Ganesh, all the 3 are there. And let's start with Saraswati Vidya first, and then we will go to Lakshmi, then I'll go to Ganesh. Now come to the question. The first step which I want everybody to understand is take a book, buy the book, take the book, open the book and read the book at a stretch. Whether it's a book, whether it's article or some subject, read at a stretch, preferably one sitting. If not one sitting, do it over days, but nothing else in between. Keep the picture in mind to understand the core concept which particular book or article is talking about. Invariably, the book has only one concept which is brought it out. Like my work is Divyang, but others could be something else. So the core concept, if it's understood, when you have taken the first step of buying the book, opening the book, reading the book at a stretch to get the core concept itself. Unless until you know the core concept, you will never be able to understand the book at all. That's the first step. Second thing, read it, study and comprehend the entire book once again, keeping the core concept in mind, and then look at each word used in context. Then you will understand how the languages have been used. Why do we need to do? Because there are 3 deficiencies in every language medium. First, inadequacy of letter. English has got only 26 letters. And only language which is perfect or better, I won't say perfect, is better, is Sanskrit with 52 letters. But when it comes to the question of making words, the combination of words in different languages give you minimum thing. It is a Sanskrit which concept can be done very well with the 52 letters, going up to 400 different kinds of combinations. Better, but not as perfect as I want. But there is a third deficiency in the language medium is ambiguity. Same word in one language means one, and in another language is exactly the opposite. What could be good in one is this ambiguity is creating the problem. To make the subject understand in any subject is very, very difficult. And only language which I find is perfect to great an extent, not as perfect as I would like, is Sanskrit. Better. No wonder it's called divine language. It's much more classified, much more structured, and entire Satchakra Nirupana centers around 52 letters of Sanskrit alone. Now come to the third concept very clearly. Expand, master, execute. No book is comprehensive, no book is complete. So you take one particular subject and study all the literature on the subject completely. Unless until you understand the one subject completely from A to Z, only then you can learn, master thereafter. And I do believe that comprehension of wisdom of 64 and odd sciences should be done, not of one subject alone, because one subject is going to give you limited knowledge, relative knowledge, but not give you the absolute wisdom. Once you know all the 64 sciences completely, A to Z, only then impeccable wisdom can come. And I make it very, very clear, you need to have 64 arts and sciences. And then come after that, comprehend the divine mathematics of everything is such. How nature designed it, that is how you observe the nature and see everything done by nature in the external world is perfect. Whenever in doubt, I always look up to the universe, because universe is perfect. It's given me the mathematics right up to Divyang for the first time in the history of mankind in 2015. Thanks to Goddess Saraswati, Goddess Lakshmi, Goddess Parvati, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Saraswati, all the divine natures of Sanatana Dharma. Each one has a mathematics and each one has a structure, each one has a concept. And knowing all the gods and goddesses, only I have understood this is the perfection. Then comprehend the divine design of nature is absolutely essential as the third step. Once you reach that level, only then you can go further. First step is exactly like a student. Come to the fourth, then you become like a teacher. Share wisdom with perfection. Do not mislead anybody at all. And you should give out of memory and full conception as a walking, talking encyclopedia, not from any external aid. Now, I have this particular problem presentation, but all I'm talking is only from my experience, not for anything else. What you have cognized should be spoken about. What you have not cognized should not be spoken about. Let us not be a copycat book readers and mislead the world with the misleading of every book which is available. And one concept which I learned, more and more we share, the more and more the knowledge grows in. And that is this सरस्वती के भंडार में बड़ी अपूर्व बात, जू खर्चे त्यू तू बड़े मिन खर्चे घटियात. This is a concept which should be there in every student, every teacher, every scholar, every author should share only perfection, perfection and perfection alone. When we fail to share that knowledge, knowledge evaporates and we disappear, we forget about that. So regularly doing is going to make you walking, talking encyclopedia. Reinforcements of divine life in nature is only through consistent working. Don't be lazy. You have learned it, share with everybody for the love of it. And don't make it as a price issue. Give it for that. As I have done from my since childhood, I've just done it for the love. And more I have done, more and more I have grown to Divyang. Had I not been doing that, I wouldn't have come to Divyang at all. Then come to the fifth, you do the research. Now, teacher should become a research scholar. You have the perfection, then you do. But you do research only on the something which you have experienced. Don't do on research on something which you cannot experience. That's it. And objective exploration, subjective experience is absolutely essential. Other research has no meaning at all. And then find the literature and study and find the lacunar deficiency, then rectify the wisdom with experience and give the correction with evidence which nobody can deny. There should not be any scope for any mistakes and correction thereafter. And living example is my PhD research and postdoctoral research, which I am going to show you how beautifully I got into my PhD work after initiation in simplified Kundalini Yoga, and what was reproduced is amazing thing, and that should have been the research for anybody and everybody hereafter. Now my PhD research is a physiology of Kundalini Yoga, power spectrum analysis. First thing, these are the first two I'll show you only for my PhD work. In this particular thing is a power spectrum of EEG. On top, the main subject is Shiv Bhushan Sharma, me. With the closed eyes, you see the structure of me and contact group are subject identical. You have power, you have alpha with eyes closed. Others are less, and both is identical. Only difference between control group and me is the power in me is 3 times more than the power you see in others. That's it. But amazing thing comes up here. With the open eyes, when my concentration is on top of the head, samadhi, at Om of the Turiya stage of Om, on top 1 foot over the head, there, and when EEG was taken, there was tremendous amount of alphas and total power. Theta, delta and beta were absolutely negligible. And that was something which I could achieve because of the blessings of divine nature, because of Tantra and real experience of chakras, nadis and different things. And all the 72 nadis, all the major chakras, everything including Sahasrara chakra, I could do it. And that was it. But if you look at the down, the control group, they could not produce alpha after opening the eyes. And that is what I say. When your concentration should be all the sciences with open eyes, not with the closed eyes. Even yoga, this should not be with closed eyes, should be with open eyes, see the entire world and then come down. Then your mind is controlling nose. Only then you will have alpha frequency of 8 hertz, not more than that. And I think this speaks volumes in this particular thing. But come to the question at a later stage, postdoctoral research. This picture was taken in 2018 after finding Devyank. With the closed eyes, I could produce 8.5 hertz throughout the brain in all the 64 channels. And this is only 16, but 64 channels were analyzed. It is there 8.5 with the closed eyes. With open eyes, it was 8 hertz. This is exactly what I talk about Akash Kosh, which frequency 7.83 hertz. And that is what Schumann resonance field is. And all the universe knowledge is stored in Akash Kosh, past, present and future. So my antenna body is in tune with that. My knowledge comes from Akash Kosh, not from any of the books available on the earth. That's it. That is the research which made a real difference in my life. Then come to the whole thing. Then presentation of things should be like a synopsis and abstract. And there should be precise, concise description. This is a testimonial which my guide gave it to me after my PhD, saying that everything is done by me. And I think you can read that in thing. The 7th step is to write a thesis or the book. And this is the book I wrote after my PhD work and published in 2000, Akhand, an Essence of Universal Consciousness. Precise, concise information was the 7th step which should be learnt in doing knowledge perfectly. Then come to the 8th step of Akhand Vidya or Sarasvati Vidya is the mathematical design. You have experienced everything. Now you should go and find what is relevant mathematics in what I have done. As I told you, 8 hertz is one part. But I have also gone on further over a period to find what is integrating mathematics of the human being itself. The mother of science is mathematics, language of divine nature is mathematics, conclusive mathematics, the real science. And now the question, entire universe is designed with Divyank, entire human body and all the living plants, animals, humans and including the lok pollen, the guardian, is with Divyank alone. And this is taken me many janmas, and only this janma in 2015 I could reveal it to the world through recognition, conception and revelation. And I think this will be the mathematics with which the research should go and redo again in maths, physics, chemistry and medical sciences. Only then you'll have the wisdom of goddess Saraswati giving the knowledge to the world just for love of person who looks up to her for that wisdom, and that is what I Mata Vaishno Devi Saraswati is very important for Gyan, Vigyan, Pragyan and Akhandata. Now, ninth step is very important. If you can convert the divine mathematics into a symbolic representation perfectly, only then you can translate to other languages, otherwise it is not at all possible. See, Divyank is on top and down is the same thing in the graphic presentation. Outer orbit is 22 by 21, then you have 10 pentagons and then 0.5 tetragons inside, and then whole structure is according to that. I think once that is done, you have come to a knowledge in ninth level clearly. Then come to the 10th as integration or Akhandata. You have to enlighten horizontal widening of the subject heptagon, and that should have all the 64 arts. Widening of 64, that length you create. Then you have the vertical things going up. Everything in each should be perfect. If that comes once it's done, only then you 100%, and then only you will have the impeccable wisdom, otherwise not at all possible. And the structure you will create is Divyank rectangle only. I have shown that. Once that is done, then you will understand how the life is. And once you apply that life in your day-to-day life, you do your A to Z work of all 60 by yourself, only then you become perfect. Otherwise, delegating something to somebody else, you are not going to become. And I do know if I can do it, everybody else can do it. So let impeccable way of life and do everything yourself and become a walking talking encyclopedia. This is what Akhandata is all about. Within 10 steps, I have learned how to give the world a real education. Perfection to the core without any deficiency whatsoever. And nobody can find fault with Devyank, this symbolic representation, because same thing is going. Now in the concentration, let's say, produce some results of something which no one in the world has done of the past. I have already done about Saraswati's as such. Now you take another example from ancient Indian wisdom, which I believe was done by Maharishi Yajnavalkya. There is no record of it, and that was during Ramayana period. I am convinced that it was done by Maharishi Yajnavalkya and during Ramayana period, particularly in King Janak's kingdom. This is a picture which I talk about Akhand Vidya, an ancient divine symbol, which has got the beautiful knowledge, both symbol and mathematics both. And that is what is there in Akhand Bharat as such. Now let's understand how beautiful the knowledge is this, how this particular thing which were dug out from Ayodhya after demolition of Babri Masjid, and when they dug by ASI from down, this is symbolic, this is the Shila which came out. And now I'm going to show you what happened at that particular stage and what the world has done, and nobody has answered that. And I'm going to answer when I say I know the impeccable wisdom. I am with Goddess Saraswati, I am with Mata Vaishno Devi, I am with the entire universe. Then I should prove it to the world. I can do something which nobody has ever done in the history of mankind. Divyank is like the singer, but this is also something amazing, including the symbols of gods and goddesses of Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma. Now come to the question. This is that Swami Nishyananda has written. Lotus found in Janma Bhumi poses a challenge to the modern math engineers. Outer wall of 39 equal petals and inner 13, both prime numbers, and 360 circle not divided by 13 or 29. Any idea how they did it 800 years back? And here I say it is not 800 years. This concept was done by 5000 years ago in Ramayana period, in King Janak's, and that is what his representation was to the particular place where they dug up. But let's not go, and many kings have done it over and over, things repeated. Let's leave it at. But not even single person ever answered this question is recorded as such. And I remember in 2020 or 21, this particular question came in Quora. When a Vermont I saw and I found how beautiful. I have answered that this, and now I am going to answer that in detail as I took, so that know कि ancient Indian language of mathematics and symbol is phenomenal. Now the question is, amazing stone is, this is another representation given by India today, and they say this shows that it was a mandir, it was not something which is Islamic in nature, and I do agree. Akhand Bharat is a place of Sanatana Dharma. No other religion in the world is care this. So let's leave it at that. Now I am going to show what a divine mystery this particular symbol is. The stone carving Shila was found in Ayodhya, as I told you, from debris. Everyone wondered about the central 13 petals and outer 29. How were 360 divided by the odd number 13 and 29 by the ancient Indian was the question. The answer is very simple. Stapta Brahmana, which was written by Maharishi Yajnavalkya, and I make it very clear. That book was written by Maharishi Yajnavalkya 5000 years ago, and answer is very clear how you can divide 360 by odd numbers. I think that's beautiful, and I said it is there very clearly done by Indians, but very unfortunately such a great wisdom of Vedas and Upanishads in Bharat is not known to Bharat itself. Forget about the external world, cannot even dream of doing it. But now I am going to explain how beautiful this particular concept is. Now come to the question of central. Even those people forget that actually there is one dot right in the center. I have shown that a mark right in the center is the center, inner one circle. And I do know very clearly that one is sun or earth itself. You can say sun or earth at the central, and it is a zero, it is a shunya, with which the divine mathematics starts. So very clearly, it's a shunya, it is zero, divine mathematics start from zero. That was known even in Vedic period from Rig Veda itself. And then everything starts. So let's say the center zero is shunya, sun and earth alone. Now coming back to Aditya, how Chandogya Upanishad says the real teacher of the whole world is Surya alone. That is zero. Everything comes out of it, moves out of it, goes out of it. Starting to beginning to the end, everything zero, 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 and that is Shunya, that is earth, and everything is round globe. All the planets are like that. Shows how beautiful were the authors of Akhand Bharat. And this is Chandogya Upanishad, written thousands and thousands of years ago. Now the same wisdom of zero is beautifully written in Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad by Maharishi Yajnavalkya again. This is perfect, that is perfect, from perfect, perfection comes, and perfect, you take perfection out, the perfection will say. That's a beautiful description of zero itself in a language form. I think that changed my mind. If how beautifully they could write into verse and a mantra about Shunya so clearly, and that is full from fullness, right? I think this is phenomenal. I think that made me a big follower of Maharishi Yajnavalkya. How beautifully he has made the picture, how beautifully he has given the mathematics, how beautifully he has given in a verse form. It's the shloka itself. Now it comes to the question, second part. You have inner circle, you are surrounded by 7 circles. Why did he make only 7 parts, not 6 or 8? This is very clear. Now come to the question. The sun has 7 horses. That means light of sun is divided into 7 colors, that is Vivigyar. Violet, indigo, this right up to the red part. These are 7 horses are like that, and that is beautifully written in scriptures. And same thing is very well to be understood, and unless until you understand the whole thing as such, you cannot understand the divine mathematics. This is a beautiful example of 1 shunya becoming with 7, and same thing earth is also made. I'm going to show you that. Then come to the earth element. As I told you, ancient Indians said there are 7 layers of earth: Atal Lok, Vital Lok, Sutal Lok, Talatal Lok, Rasatal Lok, Mahatal and Patal. Atal is the earth element on which we live, and Patal is the inner side. And David. And this is very clear, and modern science has also shown the same thing. There are 7 layers, and I'm glad that modern science also has given, and things are very, very clear. Now, atmosphere is also made of 7 layers alone. You can see the 5 plus 2 of ionosphere, in which the consciousness of Akash Kosh is. I think that is 7 of earth, 7 of atmosphere, make it 7 plus 14. 7 is also divine number, 14 is also divine number. All the people are given imprisonment for 14 years for full life. Then come to the 7 heavenly elements: the sun, moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus and Saturn. From sun to Saturn, and these are the bodies which are important since we live on earth. So earth is not there, but the moon is there. And I think once that is understood, I think that was again observation which the world should be thankful to all the wisdom of the great people throughout the world. Now this particular picture is the divine 7 divine days. You can see the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, then you have Jupiter, then you have Saturn, and all this put together. And even Rashis were designed. Sun and moon had only one Rashi, others had two Rashis. There are 12. Even Navagraha is also based on that. I think that was a beautiful 7 number. Now come to the question of next number which I am going to show, 13 and 29. But before that, I'll give you a bhumika how this Fibonacci sequence, which was given by Indian, and I do believe many people give it Fibonacci, that he revealed the word in 1202 is recorded, but he said it comes from India. But the books available in this information, they give it to Pingala, that he is the first person to do it 3000 years ago. But I do know it is not Pingala who gave it. It is Maharishi Yajnavalkya gave it to the world as a mission 5000 years ago, and before that other people who wrote Vedas and Upanishads, they had also given it to the world. Let me not say that that was revealed by him. If I am revealing Divyank, it's not me I am doing for the first time. I am only trying again what Veds and Upanishads, Brahmans had done in Veda itself and Upanishads itself. I am only trying to understand how they did it. The information which is not there, I am just filling the information from Akash Kosh. And that's it. Now in this you can see 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, 55, 89, 144 is the Fibonacci sequence. Now keeping in that mind, let me tell you there are 13 lotus petals. Actually they are not 13, actually it's 5 and 8. That means Divyank ratio is 5 and 8. If you look at the picture which is made by photo printers, is always 5 inches by 8 inches, and that is the Divyank ratio. And that 13 is 5 plus 8 equal to 13 is what it is all about. That means the divine mathematics or Fibonacci sequence is what it is spoken about. What a wonderful work. But to see that, you have to be in tune with the divine consciousness. Now come to the question of next thing, 29 lotus petal. It is the Divyank sequence, which is 3 plus 5 plus 8 for 13 is same thing which I told you, Fibonacci. 0, 1, 1, 2, 3. After 3 it is 5, 3 plus 5 is 8, 5 plus 8 is 13, and 3 plus 5 plus 8 and 13 is 29. So he has seen it is 3 plus 5 plus 8 and 13 are there, not 29. That's what I want everybody to understand, how brilliant were the Brahmins who wrote Vedas, Upanishads and ancient scriptures, What kind of divine mathematics is it? If we are in tune with that, only we can do wonderfully very well. And that's it. So no wonder you have seen I can produce 8 hertz frequency through the brain with eyes open. Is again 8 of this alone. Now come to the question. This 29 actually is about the moon. I have talked about sun, I talked about the earth, 777, but here comes the moon, which is 29.52 days. And it was clearly written as a 29 is a lunar calendar. You can see the ascending and descending thing by and large. But in this particular thing, what I learnt is amazing knowledge for the entire world to understand how divine mathematics in a symbolic representation was done by the ancient Indian Brahmins like me wonderfully very well. Now come to the question, the perfect human menstrual cycle as taught throughout the world is defective, defective and defective. The one which I realized by doing this particular symbolic representation is what I'm going to show in this particular thing. Normally when you say human menstrual cycle, we say 5 days of bleeding, 8 days of proliferation and 30 days of excretion. 5 plus 8 are 13 days. 5 and 8 is what they talk about. Nothing more than that is spoken throughout the world. But I said it's not true. Before 5 days, there are 3 days. Is the first phase when cohort of 10 primary follicles comes up, and with that pituitary releasing hormones, and then anterior pituitary releases follicular and luteinizing hormones, and ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone, and with that also the new layer of the basal also appears. This is something which has been missed by all the medical people of the world, and I'm very sorry to say such an important thing is not at all done by anybody. And after that only you go to 5 days, then you go to 8 days of proliferation, then you go to ovulation. Further that it is not 13 days, it is 8 plus 5, 3, 5, 8, ovulation, 8, 5 and 3. How beautiful is it? Divine has made female menstrual cycle so perfectly. But our ignorance, our restricted copycat research has made the whole thing very defective. And that's what my point is. Unless until we know the divine mathematics, we have no knowledge whatsoever. So keeping that in mind, this one graphic presentation which was done by Maharishi Sarasvati, which I am convinced had so much of knowledge to rectify all the defects of mathematics, physics, chemistry, medical sciences, and give to the world perfection, so that every human being is perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. Now you can understand how much is the wisdom in ancient Indian wisdom, how Sarasvati has given, how we can do wonderfully well, how only education of impeccable wisdom can change the world. Whatever we taught throughout the world is so defective that there is a fight over. And people who come from rich background, they get privileges because everything is designed according to their convenience. That people who are poor are given something which is no use, they are not given the facilities, and there is. But I want to give it to the world a knowledge free for everybody. Throughout the world, everybody can take it from YouTube channel, my books and other things. You don't have to pay at all. Maybe over a period I'm going to come out with a concept, maybe smartphone, which will have all the information as a walking talking with as little a price as possible for every poor person to get, including the rich. No amount of money is required, and you're going to see a man who can give in knowledge like this can also give money, and that going to the next thing on Lakshmi Vidya. And I think that speak volume how the perfect human beings do not care about money, name, fame at all. And person who is going to sell for name, fame, money otherwise is only restricted, because then you will have to only sell what is sold. You are not giving impeccable wisdom. Then this petri picture, I think this is enough for the time being. I think thank you very much. I have just spoken from my experience, and I think that is what the knowledge is required for everybody. let's give importance to Goddess Saraswati. Learn these 10 stages, become perfect, know all the 64 arts, and give it the wisdom and experience that, and that research nothing other than that. And I think with that we are moving very well on this particular concept, and I'm happy that I'm sharing for the love of it. Thank you very much.